Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mindful Place Summit. I'm your host, Crystal Jensen, and today we have the opportunity to sit down with Jackie McDonald. Jackie is a mama, entrepreneur, and creator of the McDonald manifestation method to EFT tapping. She supports highly sensitive, ambitious women just like you release, receive in your body and mind and life so that you can live as a wildly wealthy, free woman. If you are new to EFT, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. That's right, she teaches you how to experience emotional freedom in your body, mind in just a few minutes. Thanks so much for watching. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mindful Place Summit. Today, we have the opportunity to sit down with Jackie McDonald. Jackie, thank you so much for coming on and speaking with us today.
Oh, Crystal, it's such a pleasure to be here. Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to give everybody an experience today alongside listening. So it's an honor to be here.
Woohoo. All right. So I love to introduce you as the EFT tapping queen. And for those that don't know what EFT means, it means emotional freedom technique. So I'm going to hand it over to Jackie because she's the pro at this. And maybe you can let us know a little bit about yourself, how you got into this, and what EFT tapping is.
Absolutely. So I say that EFT, emotional freedom techniques, as you mentioned, it found me at my worst and brought me to my best. It's been 10 years since I started tapping, and many of you might have never heard of it before. Definitely 10 years ago, not very many people knew about it. But it found me when I was going through a big transition in my life. So I was 19 when I had my daughter, and I went through, within the first 6 months of her being born, I lost 5 people. So I went to 5 funerals in 6 months with a newborn, and I was completely freaked out because my body went into a state, which I understand now with the nervous system, a fight or flight state. I was in survival mode, which I think many parents can probably they're familiar with that feeling. So I had just had a baby. I was in survival mode. I went through all this loss, and then my body started to have some really strange symptoms that the doctors didn't have answers for. And they just said, you're a tired new mom, you'll get over it, like it'll be fine. But I wasn't. And that's when EFT came into my life. And really simply, EFT is a self-development tool that's a blend of Eastern and Western medicine. So it's like Eastern acupuncture. We're tapping on acupuncture points while talking about our feelings. So it's like Western psychology, right? And the thing that I love about it is that it moves the body and the nervous system. So you don't have to believe in it to work. You can simply tap on these points and start expressing what's coming up for you. And you'll notice your nervous system, your body start to calm down. That's exactly what happened to me in my first session. I was, holding a lot of grief. I was holding a lot of overwhelm, and I was really scared of the future. I was scared of who was going to die next when I had first come to this work. And after my first session, I let go of the weight of the world. I realized like how much I was carrying in my body, and tapping helped me let it go. So that's really my philosophy, is I help people release the emotions, release the burdens, release the anxiety so that they can step in and receive the life that they have envisioned for them, the relationships that they want, and the physical state of being in their body that feels safe, secure, and at peace. So that's a little bit about how I got started. And today I've helped thousands of women, actually women, children, and men incorporate tapping into their daily lives. And I'm a teacher of it.
You are a teacher of it, and I am learning from you each and every day. I'm so happy and grateful that this work is being spread amongst the world. And what is your one-liner? You want to get this into the what? Into the what?
The hands, hearts, and homes of people all over the world.
Yeah,
And it's happening. We're tapping. So I've trained people in Spanish, German, Greek, and I get pictures every day of people tapping with their kids all over the world, these little kiddos tapping, especially I find at nighttime before bed, or if they're highly sensitive kids, especially. It's a really easy self-help tool that's literally at everyone's fingertips that you can go to when you're feeling overwhelmed, and it's happening, it's spreading. So thank you.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I know from a personal experience, I was just like, kind of like tapping behind closed doors, right? Because it's like, how do you say to people, okay, I tap on my face to feel better, or, I talk about my feelings and I'm tapping. So I was like the closet tapper, right? It's like, I knew it worked for me because I've been exposed to your work since about 2018. And I thought, okay, it's time now to start integrating this into the children that I support, into my own children. So I started working with my daughter, and she is 10 at the time right now. And I noticed that instantly she would have these triggers that would put her into more of an emotional state. And before, we would do some talk therapy and some affirmations, but it would take me a lot longer to move through it with her as she's, expressing how she's feeling, or sometimes she doesn't know how she's feeling. Now, when we tap, it's like brings her right down. And sometimes she can't tap, but that's okay. I'm close to her. I'm doing it. I'm holding space for her. And by the second round, she starts tapping with me and
Oh,
integrating it. And her, levels, because you teach how to, rate it, her levels drop instantly. And it's almost like she kind of just, it's like de-escalating some sort of conflict, right? She's like, I'm heard. You can see her body, the physical response just relax. And I get emotional each time, and I even get goosebumps sharing this story because I'm like, this stuff works.
it's
And
so
and now I'm like, I just tap everywhere. It's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's like, I don't care. I'm gonna share it because it works. And I'm now at a place where it's like, I'm no longer hiding. I'm gonna talk and share this with the world, and having your support and coming to you and learning has inspired me to also just embrace that and embody that in my own practice with the children. So thank you for that.
I love that you said that because I was the same. I was definitely like a closet tapper when I started, but then I slowly started taking it online and I tell a few people, but then as soon as people experienced it, they'd go tell more people. And mine, it like accidentally blew up for me. I was like, I live in a small town with 8,000 people. And so I was really afraid of doing something unconventional that people didn't understand. But the thing is that it works. It works really efficiently. And when something works, you can't help but share it. So I'm really excited to give everyone an experience today because I've had similar experiences with my daughter, especially around you think you know what's bugging them until you tap with them and then you find out the real reason.
Yeah.
And that's what I've noticed with her is she used to have anxiety around sleep and bedtime because she shares time between her dad's house and mine. And I would ask her why, and she wouldn't tell me. She's just very like, no, I'm just scared. Like, I don't know why. So when she let me start tapping with her on it, it actually came out that she saw a scary movie at her grandparents' house one day. And every time she goes to bed, she has this fear that someone's going to come and take her. And so this is how we are though, right? We all have these fears underneath the surface that we don't want to talk about because we want to just sweep them under the rug and pretend they're not there. But they're like the elephants in the room. And tapping allows us to address what's really going on. And I know you mentioned affirmations. We do blend in affirmations with tapping, but there's an actual like brainwave state where your brain is ready to receive an affirmation. And if you're in a ton of resistance and fear and you try and say an affirmation, your subconscious mind just rejects it. So this is the experience that I had with my daughter is we started tapping on the fear and she said out loud like, oh, I'm afraid someone's going to take me, or something bad's going to happen at nighttime. We tapped on it, it washed over her and washed through her, and then the fear went from a 10 down to a 3. She's like, oh, I realize mom's here and nothing's going to happen and I'm okay. And so that's the power of this work. You get to know your children in a much more intimate way that's really safe and empowering. And that's something I say about tapping. We're working with emotions in a really safe and empowering way.
Well, and I love that. It's almost like you get to find out the story, right? Like, what story are we telling ourselves right now? What story are you telling yourselves? And you get to play through that and feel through that. And I love myself anyways, because it's accepting. Because, yeah, I'm feeling that way. And a lot of the times, all of our listeners could probably relate when, our generation of upbringing, it was like, you feel that way? You go to your room and cry, close the door. We never talked about how we were feeling. And even with the interactions of the children in the center right now, which I'm supporting, they're tattletaling a lot, right? It's like, hey, why don't we just go tell so and so how you're feeling? And I work on that social and emotional connection because I feel that it's just shoved under the rug, or it's just, pushed down. And then, like you mentioned, sometimes that creates a little of that physical response in our body because we just keep pushing down those emotions time and time again.
Oh, I love that you just said, yeah, we weren't taught how to talk about our feelings. And this is simply what we're doing in tapping is we're talking, expressing our feelings with compassion and acceptance and kindness. So
Absolutely.
even though, so our setup statement's always like, even though I'm really frustrated or angry right now, I love and accept myself anyway. And normalizing emotions, they're not negative or positive. They're just a temporary experience that comes and goes. But sometimes we get stuck in that experience of frustration and fear, and tapping can come in and interrupt that to help us choose a new thought and choose a new feeling.
All right. So, shall we?
Yeah. Let's tap into it.
All right.
So, we're gonna have an experience with tapping now. I know that some of you might be on video, some of you might be on audio. I'll make sure that there is a tapping chart that you guys have access to so you can look at the points and where we're tapping. It's like a game of Simon Says. So I'm gonna tap and say something. You and Crystal are gonna tap and copy me. So it's really great for kids. It's like easy to copy. Um, and I want to mention surrogate tapping. So I know you said sometimes I tap for my daughter. You can also do that. If kids are like, I don't want to do this, you can ask permission. Can I do it for you? And it will open the door to deeper conversations too. So for the sake of this round, I'm going to say the points, tell you where we're tapping, and get you to repeat after me. The first time I did it, I was just trying to like follow along and get the points right. I want you to sink more into the feelings that are coming up as we say the words. So let's all take a nice deep breath. Give yourself permission to just settle into the space that you're in. If you're not driving, you can go ahead and close your eyes. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth at your own pace. Again, in through the nose, out through the mouth. I want you to just visualize setting everything else aside, knowing that it'll be there for you when you return. But for right now, this gets to be just about you and the things that you're holding on to. I want you to just notice in your body if you're holding on to any anxiety or stress around your kids. Any guilt for not spending as much time with them as you like. And I want you to give those emotions a number on a scale of 0 to 10. How high is your stress or anxiety? A scale of 0 to 10. Or maybe judgment or guilt, whichever emotion is resonating with you. How high is it and where is it in your body? So Crystal, I'll use your example for the sake of this. And I know we mentioned before we started tapping for, having kids at home and some of the guilt and judgment that comes up on ourselves for having them on iPads or wanting a break from them, or just general stress and anxiety from having children. So I'm curious for you, were you able to tune in to where it is in your body?
Absolutely. I'm holding a lot of guilt, I would say, right my solar plex.
Okay. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how high would you say that is?
I would say it's at an 8.
Okay. All right. So this is all the information we need to tap, and it can be as simple as that with your kids. Just getting them to close their eyes, tuning into their body. Where are you holding this worry or this fear? And then what number is it on a scale of 0 to 10? So to start off, we're going to do 3 rounds of tapping all together. The first round, if you're between an 8 and a 10, is really a time, it's called the venting stage. It's where you need to let it out. You need to be like, I feel bad. I'm afraid my kids aren't going to be okay. Like, get the things out. So do you feel like sharing what some of those fears or worries are for you?
Absolutely. So for me, it's around working with my children at home, that I'm not giving them enough time, that they will resent me. I mean, it's proven their behaviors increase. So, there's some guilt around that. I'm sometimes a grumpy mommy because if I ask them to do something and they're not listening. So there's also fear around kind of the aftermath, the resentment, but also, there's mom guilt, guilt, shame. There's a lot of that there. Worry.
Yeah, mom guilt. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much mom guilt do you have? Yeah. So I think this is a really relevant topic. Okay. So to start off, thank you for being honest and sharing. And I have it too. So I'm just
excited to tap on it because I know how good it feels when we get it moving. So
shifting. Exactly. Okay. So to start off, we tap on the side of the hand. This is called the karate chop point. It doesn't matter which hand, it can be right or left. And we're going to stay here for what's called 3 rounds, and you're just going to repeat after me. So we're going to start by saying, even though I have this mom guilt,
Even though I have this mom guilt,
I can feel it in my solar plexus and chest.
I can feel it in my solar plexus and chest.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I've been feeling guilty.
Even though I've been feeling guilty.
Guilty because I've been working a lot.
Guilty because I've been working a lot.
And my kids are at home.
And my kids are at home.
I can feel that I'm holding on to this in my body.
I can feel that I'm holding on to this in my body.
And I love and accept myself anyway.
And I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I've been feeling guilty.
Even though I've been feeling guilty.
Guilty for working.
Guilty for working.
Guilty that my kids aren't getting enough time with me.
Guilty that my children aren't getting enough time with me.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
And I'd like to begin letting this go.
And I'd like to begin letting this go.
Good job. We're going to tap right in the top of the head and say, I've been feeling really bad.
I've been feeling really bad.
Eyebrow point. Bad for working so much.
Bad for working so much.
Side of the eye. I'm noticing their behavior increase.
I'm noticing their behavior increase.
Underneath the eye. I'm feeling bad because they want more of me.
I'm feeling bad because they want more of me.
Underneath the nose. But I just don't have more to give.
But I just don't have more to give.
Underneath the mouth. I'm already maxed out.
I'm already maxed out.
Collarbone point. I've been feeling really bad about this.
I've been feeling really bad about this.
Underneath the arms. I can feel it in my body.
I can feel it in my body.
Tapping underneath the chest. This mom guilt in my body.
This mom guilt in my body.
Wrist point. I'm afraid I'm not giving them enough time and attention.
I'm afraid I'm not giving them enough time and attention.
Top of the head. What if my kids don't get enough time and attention?
What if my kids don't get enough time and attention?
Eyebrow point. What if I'm messing them up?
What if I'm messing them up?
Side of the eye. This guilt and fear in my body.
This guilt and fear in my body.
Underneath the eye. This worry about my kids.
This worry about my kids.
Underneath the nose. This worry about my kids that I'm holding on to in my body.
This worry about my kids that I'm holding on to in my body.
Underneath the mouth. I'm ready to start letting it go.
I'm ready to start letting it go.
Okay. It's coming up for you.
I was like, oh, am I going to cry on camera today? Let's see it. I could feel like a rush of like, look how hot I am.
Yeah.
Like when we were saying some of the things, I could feel the sensations in my body and stuff starting to shift and emotional because I'm acknowledging it. It's like, okay, here we go.
So this is really important because you're allowed to cry. I normalize crying. Everybody cries with me. So if you cry, it's all good because we don't realize it. It's these things under the surface that we kind of micromanage and ignore that take up a lot of space. And this is why my philosophy, release to receive, is so important to me because carrying this guilt is affecting you in more ways than one, right? It's affecting you as a parent, but it's probably affecting your work and your other relationships too. So is there some sadness coming up, would you say?
I would say sadness, more of a realization too, where it's even though I expressed to you those words, like hearing me say them in a sentence or that I love myself and accept myself anyways, there's this piece of acceptance. So it's kind of emotional because it's like, well, this is happening and I'm acknowledging these fears, but it's acceptance.
Yes.
It's like this, I'm processing it as we're going and the sensations I can feel in my body, right? I notice even when I talk, I'm sighing, like I'm taking that, right, to regulate it.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So the guilt was an 8 before. Has the guilt changed or has it moved to sadness? Where's that at now?
I would say it's shifted a bit. It's probably at a 5. It hasn't gone to sadness. I think it's gone to like I had a wave of sadness, but it's more like, okay, it's like that awareness piece. I'm like, okay,
So that's the acceptance you're saying. So the guilt
Yes,
went a little bit of sadness to like, okay, this is what's really going on. I see it now.
absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. So for all of you listening, you can check in again, close your eyes, notice in your body, how high is that number on a scale of 0 to 10? If it's went up or stayed the same, there's just more tapping and venting to do. You could say things like, I feel bad, or I'm sad, or I'm worried I'm going to ruin my kids. And like when we say it out loud, we were like, oh, like that's the subconscious fear, is that my kids are watching too much TV and they're not going to be okay. It's like, well, no, like they're going to be okay. Right. But it's just giving us the space to let it out. So you might need to do a little more venting tapping, and that's totally okay too. For the sake of this video, we're going to keep going. Now that you're at a 5, it means, yeah, I've been holding on to this guilt, but I'm ready to let it go. So when your numbers are between like a 6 and a 4, that's the letting go stage. You're like, I'm ready to release this. I'm ready to feel something different. So I'm going to ask you, Crystal, what would you like to feel instead? Instead of feeling guilty, like this mom guilt and guilty about your kids, what would you like to feel instead?
I would like to feel happy. I
Mhm.
would like to feel balanced, connected,
Mm,
um, lovable.
beautiful. Yeah, I think
Even
like,
saying those words, I just get a big smile on my face.
yeah. So I want to feel connected to my kids. That's maybe what's
Absolutely.
going on for a lot of people too, right? This guilt is the lack of connection that they're holding on to. So let's tap again on the side of the hand. And just like before, a game of Simon Says, you're going to say what I say and say, even though I've been feeling really guilty
Even though I've been feeling really guilty
for not showing up for my kids the way I want to,
for not showing up for my kids the way I want to,
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
And I'm ready to start letting this guilt go.
And I'm ready to start letting this guilt go.
Even though I can feel in my body,
Even though I can feel it in my body,
this has been weighing heavy on me.
this has been weighing heavy on me.
I'm acknowledging it now,
I'm acknowledging it now,
and it's time for me to let it go,
and it's time for me to let it go.
especially because I love my kids so much.
Especially because I love my kids so much.
I want to give them the world.
I want to give them the world.
I feel guilty at times
I feel guilty at times
when I fall short,
when I fall short,
and I love and accept myself anyway.
and I love and accept myself anyway.
Let's go to the top of the head and say, I love my kids more than anything.
I love my kids more than anything.
Eyebrow point. I want the absolute best for them.
I want the absolute best for them.
Side of the eye. So sometimes I'm hard on myself.
So sometimes I'm hard on myself
Underneath the eye when I'm not perfect.
when I'm not perfect.
Underneath the nose, I want to give myself permission.
I want to give myself permission
Underneath the mouth to let some of this pressure and perfection go.
to let some of this pressure and perfection go.
Tapping on the collarbone point. My kids are going to be okay.
My kids are going to be okay.
Underneath the arms, I'm going to be okay.
I'm going to be okay.
Underneath the chest, maybe I could let this guilt go.
Maybe I could let this guilt go.
Wrist point, maybe I could be a little more compassionate with myself.
Maybe I can be a little bit more compassionate with myself.
Top of the head, and connect back in with my kids.
And connect back in with my kids.
Good. Take a nice deep breath.
Oh,
How's that?
so good.
What's coming up for you now?
I just felt so much joy and happiness, and like everything's going to be okay.
Yes,
Right?
it is. It's gonna be
My
okay.
knot is like, I would say, down to a 3.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So when you're at a 3, it means this is when you're ready for an affirmation. So when you're between a 3 and a 0, your subconscious brain, AKA your body, is ready to receive an affirmation. What affirmation would you like to tap in? I am connected to my kids. I am, which one comes to mind?
I think the connection one is huge. I'm connected with my children, or Yeah, I am connected because it's not about making time, it's about being connected.
Yeah. And maybe like I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, that would be good to impress that inside my subconscious mind. Because you're right, that guilt and shame and judgment on ourselves sometimes takes over. Where
Yeah.
so let's add that in there.
So now that I'm ready to let go of the guilt, shame, and judgment. Um, I'm ready to be nicer to myself, nicer to my kids. I'm ready to be kind, compassionate, and understanding. I feel like that's the opposite of guilt, shame, and judgment. Kind, compassionate,
Absolutely.
understanding. And as I said, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I still feel high, that like my numbers are up high, I still feel like I have a lot to let go of, that's okay. You can come back and tap again, let go again. But for this last round, we're going to tap into these affirmations. Okay.
All righty.
Let's tap again on the side of the hand and say, even though I was feeling really guilty before,
Even though I was feeling really guilty before,
I'm ready to let that guilt go.
I'm ready to let that guilt go.
I'm ready to feel connected to myself
I'm ready to feel connected with myself
and with my children.
and with my children.
Even though I was feeling some guilt before
Even though I was feeling some guilt before
and I was holding on to it in my body,
and I was holding on to it in my body,
I'm choosing to release it now,
I'm choosing to release it now,
to feel happy and connected
to feel happy and connected
to my truth and to myself.
to my truth and to myself.
Even though there will still be moments
Even though there will still be moments
where I mess up,
where I mess up,
where I'm not perfect,
where I'm not perfect,
I'm choosing to love and accept myself anyway.
I'm choosing to love and accept myself anyway.
I'm choosing to invite in
I'm choosing to invite in
kindness, compassion, and understanding.
kindness, compassion, and understanding.
Top of the head. I'm choosing to have
I'm choosing to have
eyebrow point, kindness, compassion, and understanding.
kindness, compassion, and understanding
Side of the eye with myself and with my children.
with myself and with my children.
Underneath the eye, I'm ready to reconnect.
I'm ready to reconnect.
Underneath the nose, I'm reconnecting with myself.
I'm reconnecting with myself.
Underneath the mouth, I'm reconnecting with them.
I'm reconnecting with them.
Collarbone point, I'm dropping any guilt, shame, or judgment.
I'm dropping any guilt, shame, or judgment.
Underneath the arms, I'm trusting that I'm doing the best that I can.
I'm trusting that I'm doing the best that I can.
Underneath the chest, I'm choosing to focus now.
I'm choosing to focus now
Wrist point on being kinder and more compassionate with myself
on
instead.
being kinder and more compassionate with myself. Thank you.
Instead. Beautiful. Good job. Take a nice deep breath. How are you feeling now?
I I just love you. And it's funny, like I feel like I've never been married, but I feel like I've been like saying my vows. Like every time we tap, I'm like, yes, right. It's like this very intimate
Mm,
realization and experience of discovery and then just relief. It's like,
it's emotional freedom. You just experienced emotional freedom. So as you mentioned at the top, EFT stands for emotional freedom techniques. And I believe everyone deserves to be free. I believe that everyone deserves emotional freedom. And it is such a simple process that is at our fingertips. And I just really appreciate you allowing me to have the time today to come in and introduce this to people's lives, because you might just be like, I don't know what that was. I feel different. I'm curious. I invite you to lean into it more, because there is a whole world within ourselves. Like people always say, the answers are in us. Tapping helps you find that. Tapping helps you find the way through yourself in a really efficient and powerful way. So thank you. This was beautiful.
well, and thank you as well. And for our listeners, Jackie has giving away one abundance bundle. So for those of you that have listened this far, your code to enter in, which all the details are below on the speaker page, is abundance. So after the summit, we will do a draw for the winner. And also below, you'll be able to find information on where to find Jackie with her page. And if you need some, more support, to reach out to her, because she's here. She's a wonderful soul willing to help and get this into your hands as well.
Yes, thank you. And I mean, you're being certified in my method as we speak. So you will be,
Absolutely.
you're a leader in this work. And I just acknowledge you for caring about children and about caregivers and families enough to share this, because this stuff changes the world. So I love,
Yay.
send me a message, follow me on Instagram, Facebook. I do weekly Facebook Live shows, lots of free resources, free tapping guides. So anything I can do to help tapping easier, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jackie. Thanks for coming on. And everybody, thanks for watching.
Amazing. Bye.
Bye.